Show the flowers. Hey everybody, this is Lana Elko, and this is the time for us to get together through this live show, Intimacy with the World, and connect and dive deeper in empowerment and relationship knowledge and wisdom, right? I have just come back from my vacation in Canada and feel renewed, invigorated, and ready to go and move to the next level together with you. For those ones who don't know me, my name is Lana Elko, and relationship and empowerment coach. And I do these live shows every Friday, this time, and it's called Intimacy with the World. And we discuss relationship challenges, how we can connect with each other on a deeper level, how we can create the relationship that we crave on a deeper level, and how we can find our own power, right? Especially women, how we can find our power, be who we really are, and from that place create relationships and life that we really desire in our heart. So today, the topic of our conversation is many women can relate to that, right? And as you see, it's about the good girl archetype and her secret desires that sometimes she doesn't even admit to herself, that this is what her heart craves. This is what this deep longing of her soul, right? And there are some confusing pieces here that I really want to address for those ones who are familiar with my work, and for those ones who are not familiar with my work yet. You can take a quiz. After this video I will share the link to my quiz, and it is about discovering your feminine archetype and all the challenges, relationship patterns, and tips that you can apply to step into your power. So each archetype in my system has empowered version of it. So good girl is a great mother. I have 4 archetypes, so it's very simple and very clear system. So once you take the quiz, you can see what is your archetype and can read about your archetype. And many times I also share information about other archetypes, so you can also learn about other archetypes, because we all have all of them, right? But one is dominating and one is who we are, how we are wired, because we're different, right? We are not the same kind of women. We're wired differently, and there are some fundamental differences. So we need to discover what is really our true nature and live from that place, because something that is real for me and true for me and is important for me on the innate level is different from another woman, right? So I have, just to remind you, I have 4 archetypes. Is Amazon woman or queen, empowered version, La Femme Fatale or goddess, mystic archetype, right, high priestess, and the good girl. And her empowered archetype is the great mother, right, the great mother. So let's focus on the good girl and see what does it mean. What does it mean to be a good girl? How, when you listen to that, does it feel good or bad? What kind of response you feel in your body and emotionally when you hear that, right? How does it trigger you? So when women take my quiz, many of them come out with this good girl archetype, and there are 2 ways that can lead them to this result, right? The one way is that it's your archetype, right? This is who you are. Maybe you are not in your power yet, because there are certain hidden challenges for a good girl archetype to overcome, to step into her power and become that, embody that great mother, you know, like Gaia, the one who like loves unconditionally, and all these qualities that like mother, it's about motherhood basically, and the archetype of the mother. And the women whose innate archetype is the great mother, they are very loving, they're very heart-centered, they're very compassionate, empathetic, giving, you know, generous. It's like Mother Teresa, if you know, like she represents the great mother archetype in the power empowered one. So when you join, saying hi so I can see who is there. And if you look at your career, or like what you do for living in your life, many times the woman who represents this archetype, she chooses to serve. This is what makes you happy. Her love language is actually acts of service. She wants to serve and give and take care of others, and that makes you happy, right? And we'll dive deeper in the hidden pieces on this one. So many times she can be happy when she finds professions that meant to serve others, right? Service-based professions, like healing professions. Many times she enjoys to take care of her family, and she can be housewife in the empowered way as well. If she has a big family and many kids, this is the woman who actually can take care of many kids and have many kids, and that makes you happy. Not because of like social pressure. In some cultures women have many kids, but because she really wants that and loves that, right? And she also can have like a humanitarian project and go and serve like to third all these undeveloped countries to help poor people, like non-profit organization. That's the sign that if it's your archetype, that's what makes you happy. This is what you want to do. It just like you thrive in this in service, and you thrive when you give. So that is one situation. So it's a true archetype. You just need to overcome certain challenges, remove certain blockages, let go of certain limiting beliefs, and step into that amazing, beautiful, powerful archetype of the great mother that we all crave on this planet. We do need that energy, right? Loving mother, unconditional love. Now, the second situation when you can come out with this result, when you take my quiz, is that maybe you were brought up in the culture or the family that they were teaching you these values and this more traditional woman's role of what woman must be, right? And how she needs to behave and what she needs to do, and it's like if you had like a strict family and more traditional values, if you come from more traditional culture, or maybe your family represents more traditional values where a woman is more like a housewife and she serves to everybody else, and she puts herself kind of on the last roar to receive anything. And as a little girl, maybe you were taught to behave, to be obedient, to help others, not to be selfish, to ask for anything for yourself, but to give to others, to take care of your sisters and brothers, to do things for others in general, right? To take care of the elders, and in the future to kind of create that image of the perfect housewife who takes care of her husband, who serves the family, you know, and that's basically the ideal ideal version of a woman, right? In this kind of paradigm and from this perspective. However, many times I find that women who embody that and become that, they are not born to be that, right? And you can actually, by nature, you can represent a different archetype, but because of this cultural pressure, because of this influence and conditioning, you chose to do it and just to fit in and not to be rejected and not to be a kind of outsider. Because for the good girl archetype, the most painful is to be alone, right? And if you know my work for other archetypes, it can be also a challenge, but you could do it just to fit in, right? And that's a very painful place to be, because if you represent a different archetype and you put yourself in the box of the good girl, that's a very painful and miserable place to be. And I can share something with you so you don't think like it is so like, if you find that you can relate to yourself, there are so many other women who can relate to that, and including myself, right? When I look back in my life and I remember my childhood and I remember my teen years, you know, I was totally a good girl, right? I was like, I was brought up in the family where, you know, you have to be obedient, to listen to your parents, to be a good student. Like I was a straight A student. I was quiet. You know, you have to, when adults talk, you're supposed just to sit quietly and listen, and you don't speak up. You don't ask for anything that you really wanted. Like, you know, that the kind of old paradigm where asking for what you want was kind of selfish, and it was not, nobody appreciated it. So I was kind of shamed. So my mom was proud of me that I've never asked anything for myself, but that's not who I am, right? That's not what my true nature. So I've been through all these years, I've been betraying my own nature by trying to fit into this role of being a good girl, right? So I had to do enormous amount of my inner work to step out of that and change those patterns, because the longer you perform in one role, it becomes kind of your second skin. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to step out of that role and finally find yourself, discover yourself, who you are, and live from that place and create from that place and relate to others from that place and find your own expression. So I'm a mystic archetype, right? And I've worked on myself and embody whatever serves me from other archetypes and became who I am, right? Now I'm not sitting in the corner being shy and being afraid to speak up. I created this show, like, right, Intimacy with the World. I share my message with the whole world. So it's like, but the amount of work they have done was a very, like, it's an enormous amount of work and the commitment that, no, I'm not going to live that anymore, and the boundaries, right? So that is what is important to understand. Is that are you a great mother by nature? Do you want to have a big family? Do you love to take care of others? Or you represent some other archetypes? Or maybe you are Amazon woman, or maybe you are the goddess who are meant just to receive and inspire. You know, that is very important, to take a deeper look and discover if it's true for you. And then you're not just doing it to perform and accomplish or like fit in some role. Now, as I said, each culture, by the way, supports a certain archetype. That was what I was studying, my first degree in social sciences, right? And I was like, why was I studying social sciences? Because now I'm more like connecting more with deeper, like transpersonal psychology and working with people and leadership. But that gave me this perspective. Well, I see how each culture represents certain archetype and supports certain archetype. Like if we look in traditional society, then we see that all traditional society really promote the good girl archetype, right? This good housewife, taking care of the family, having kids, you know. If you don't have kids, like, you completely lost soul. You're like, you don't complete your role in this life. and being obedient, being like kind of submissive, always receive the last one, or don't receive anything for yourself, like basically being in service to others and not putting yourself first anytime, right? So that's the traditional role that women were taught to be for thousands of years, right? And even in American society, we look like a few decades ago, like in the 60s, right? Women didn't even have credit cards without their husbands. So that society was still supporting the good girl archetype, right? Now, if we look in modern countries, now in the Western developed countries, we see that after the feminist movement, a new archetype showed up. Oh, thank you so much for your hearts. And that is the Amazon woman, the woman who is independent. She's free, she's strong, she can do it all by herself, and she doesn't need anybody, And that is like this, breakthrough, this enormous force of the feminine that was oppressed for so many years. And that felt really good to be like that. But as we go longer with this expression, we start to feel, well, yeah, I'm strong and I'm independent, but then what about my relationships? Am I happy in my relationship, especially with a man? Because then this kind of expression can affect our relationship with men in a way that we can really go deep. It's like power struggle, right? So we kind of embody masculine power. So you can see how the society also promotes and supports certain archetypes versus others. And like, if you look in the more like Southern cultures, they promote this flirty la femme fatale archetype. The women are more flirty, they are more outgoing, they're like, the flirt energy is dominating in the culture, humor, flirt, all kind of this kind of dynamics. And that supports that la femme fatale goddess archetype. So you can see how different cultures also inspire women to follow one archetype versus another. So it's very important to kind of put that on the background and find your own, no matter what culture what culture you're coming from, because we all were affected by our culture and took that part just to fit in and function in the society, right? So let's come back to Great Mother archetype, and I would like to now to focus on what is that, if you really represent that, what is really important for you, and what is that secret desires that you have, and what is your biggest challenge, right? So we'll focus on that. So if you took my quiz and you came out with this archetype, I put this brief description of each archetype. So if you're a Great Mother archetype, you're loving, generous, you're a great wife and mother, you're family oriented, right? You're more emotionally stable because you always look for others. Like, your emotions are like kind of on the background, your own. You're very loyal and devoted in your relationship, and your highest values, you have the highest moral values, and you often play the role of peacemaker. Now, if we look at the dark side of this archetype, and that's what good girl carries when she's not completely in her power, and that is being a martyr, exaggerated guilt and shame, not feeling good enough, always feel she always feels like she needs to work even harder. She takes everything like it's her fault, like she could do better. She tends to blame herself, and she tends to burn out, overwork, and give too much and not receive enough, right? She gives so much more, and she's chronically under receiving. I thought I heard Greek Mother archetype. Greek Mother, I want to hear about that. I think our cultures for sure have lots of similarities, I believe, Violetta. So So that's like a darker side that this archetype, a good girl, great mother, needs to work on in order to step in her power and let go of all these limitations that she's carrying, right? Yeah, I said yeah, I said great mother. Yeah, I thought you mean there is a Greek mother archetype, so I was wondering if you're gonna share it with me. Yeah, great mother archetype. So yes, by the way, in her relationship, she is the giver, and she really has hard time to receive, and the reason is and the reason of that is that she actually, to give and to be of service is very important for her, is central for her, and she really enjoys giving, and she wants to be received. So she's giving and she wants to be received. Hi, love. Welcome. She wants to be received, and she wants to be appreciated with what she is giving. So that is kind of the tricky piece here, because in order to activate giving receiving cycle and the balance giving and receiving within ourselves, and that will open the doors for happy relationships, she needs to look deeper inside herself, right? So she wants to be received, and she wants to be appreciated for what she gives. But at the same time, she doesn't have much experience, or she doesn't have like the desire on the surface to receive for herself, because giving is almost the same for her as receiving, if she is appreciated, if she is well received. So and I will come back to you on this one of what can be done about it. And so basically in a relationship, what happens, she always gives, and then she doesn't feel appreciated, she doesn't feel well received, and many times like she's being even abandoned, or somebody else is chosen, and she doesn't understand why these bad things happen to a good girl, right? It's kind of a big question, why bad things happen to good people, sometimes amazing people, the most generous, the most beautiful people, right? And it's not a moral question, right? It's not like they don't deserve, right? It's a more like energetic question, and to understand that and really transform that, we do need to go deeper with our giving receiving cycle and understanding these dynamics on the energetic level, right? So what I usually work with women who represent on this archetype, we go deeper, and we start to practice on our own, right? Forget about everybody else. And that can be challenging for a good girl archetype, because she is always in connection with others. She's always wants to be of service. It's even hard for her to be on her own and not to give, right? And not to be connected. So it's like, this is the time to actually disconnect. Hi, Maya, welcome. And take her time and spend time with herself and practice giving and receiving with herself, in relationship with herself, and start to give to yourself, because she doesn't know how to give to herself. However, it's exactly the same dynamics when we do it in relationship with self. The same way we give to others, we can give to ourselves, and then that's the opportunity also to step back and then receive from yourself. So that is totally possible. This is what we call inner work, right? Inner work. It doesn't require other people. You can use these skills that you develop from your inner work and discover your true expression. You can use it in your relationship, but that's the second step. So the first thing we usually do when Vuna represents this archetype, she starts to practice this within herself. She's giving. Okay, start giving to yourself, right? What do you want to give to yourself? And that can be tricky because it can be even hard to dig out those authentic desires of her heart because she never looks there, right? And then she starts to dig out and start with small things and giving to herself, and then stepping back and receiving from herself. And this is how this cycle, energetic cycle, is being activated, and she starts to understand how it feels to give and being received, appreciated, and how it feels to receive with open heart, with no guilt, and with no apology. Because her biggest challenge about receiving, that she feels guilty to receive. She doesn't feel that she can receive for free. She feels like she needs to deserve love. She needs to work hard to be loved. And she feels guilty, and every time she is receiving, she is thinking how she can pay back, how can she give back, and that's not quality receiving. When you think about paying back, you are not actually receiving on a deeper level. You kind of, and then the giver also, so that breaks the whole cycle, see? And then the giver is not happy because you are not taking it on a deeper level. You're not receiving well, right? So we need to learn both giving and receiving in order both sides to be happy, the giver and the receiver, because the giver will not be happy and satisfied, on the intuitive energetic level if the receiver doesn't receive well and completely, complete receiving. If it's just like, oh yeah, let me give it to you. So like it just breaks the whole cycle. Yes, so yeah, like guilt, like how many times, even if we don't represent this archetype, the culture that we grew up, many times we feel guilty to receive. It's like, why do they give this to us? Do they have like secret agenda, or oh, it's too generous of them? How can I pay them back? How can I do it for them? So to be a good girl, to be nice to them, but that is not something that you need to think about or worry about in the moment of receiving. You can always give back, but it's the second stage. It's a different, you will have an opportunity to do that, but you can't take your energy while receiving to think about how you're going to give back, because that takes away the whole the quality of your receiving process. And then the giver will sense it, and he will not, or she will not be satisfied. So this is like so fundamental, so deep, that I can't find the right words to express how big it is for many of us, and especially for good girl archetype. So let me see what else I wanted to share, not to miss anything. Yes. So the biggest lesson in relationship with self and others she needs to learn, the good girl, that love is not about deserving. Love is not about working hard. Love is not about competing with others who is better. Love is about being. It's a state of being. It's very open state where you allow the cycle of giving and receiving to flow freely without limitations. But to activate it, you have to be good with both giving and receiving. And you have to be really present with both, right? That's what she needs to learn, the good girl. And like receiving support for her is crucial, because many times she doesn't receive support because she doesn't feel like she deserves it. She doesn't feel that it's worth to ask for support for her. Like if Amazon woman think it's a different reason for her, right? For her, it's like, I am strong, so I don't need anybody. For good girl, is more like, I can cope, but others in worse situations, so I can help. I'm okay. But others, she thinks about others, that they are even in the worst situations. So it's not that bad for me. Like it's kind of different energy behind it. Why she has had time to ask for support. And that what can be beneficial for her is to go through all the archetypes and learn what she can take and integrate inside herself from other archetypes so she can empower herself more. And we all have all the archetypes inside ourselves. It's just like one is dominant and one is central and innate in how we are wired. Like I will never be great mother archetype. I'm wired differently, right? So if I try to go there and make it like my dominant archetype, I will be miserable. The same thing is if when you're trying to be Amazon woman, you know, being strong, independent, but deep inside you're like the goddess, and you hate, you know, organizing, you hate, you know, like routine, you hate certain things, and you're just not living your truth, right? And all the archetypes have space, and there is a place for all of us, but we need to find a way how we can connect with this life and world and relationship and be on our power, and what we can integrate from other archetypes just to be like more support system and like a skill. What can serve us? What can serve great mother? If she can learn a little bit from the queen, if she can learn a little bit from a goddess, if she can learn a little bit from a great priestess, how the great mother can benefit, right? How can she step in her full power and unfold her gifts and soul purpose from learning from other archetypes? That's also what I do in my empowerment work and relationship work with women. I help to integrate those pieces as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you about the good girl. And you know, every time I do this shows, I have a few people reaching out and we talk, because everybody relates to different pieces of my work, right? And if that speaks to you, you're welcome to reach out privately, and we can schedule a call. So I can have a free call with you, and I will see how I can help you. Right now I'm opening enrollment for my fall cycle, right? There's a new cycle is starting, and fall, yesterday was kind of crucial, like line gates opened and the archetypal astrology, and we're starting a new phase. So I'm opening enrollment for my full program, Love Unlimited. It's about your feminine empowerment and your relationship with men, how you can find the best model of relationship for yourself, create it for yourself, honor your true nature of who you are. You don't need to, you know, automatically inherit something from the society or adapt something from the society. You can create your own, and how you can do it from your place of your feminine power, honoring your true nature and your archetype, right? And your true heart desires. So I have this signature program, and I work extensively for a few months. It's like from 3 to 5 months it takes. And I do have special gifts, bonuses, and discounts right now, because that's a new cycle. So everybody, or whoever shows up first, they receive all these bonuses and gifts and discounts as well. So you're welcome to reach out, and I'll be excited to get to know you and connect with you and see if we're a good fit, right? I only work with ideal clients, women who get me, who love my work, who are extremely committed to their growth and transformation and their power. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for being here with me, Violetta Maya Shrai. Sorry, maybe I'm mispronouncing your name, but thank you for being here with me. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you got your benefits from it, you've got your insights, and again, I will be happy to get to know you on more personal level if this is what you desire as well. So I wish you a great weekend, and I talk to you next week, next Friday. Bye bye.